Bookended by opening peepers, James Cameron's space safari adventure aspired to reopen our senses to large-scale cine immersion, an ambition anchored by something more basic. If stereoscopic cinema's hit rate has wobbled since, Cameron's trip to a groovy wonderland remains robust because of its sturdy narrative roots. Writing broadly, seeing boldly, Cameron brings a crisp pulp punch to the story of Jake Sully's Na'vi conversion. That mighty box office catch suggests viewers were converted too, but you don't need all the cheddar to see why Avatar works. Pulling prog rock imagery, full-blooded perf caps, archetypal sweeps, weepy romance and his career-long fascination with biotech exchanges into one soaring package. Cameron reminded us that a plunge into a world's wonders can still transport audiences. If the new movie's arrival wasn't exciting enough already, we're also getting a brand new game in the Avatar series. It promises to take us to a region in Pandora that we've never seen before. In the Western frontier, you'll have to push back the RDA forces as you take control of a Na'vi warrior. The third-person action-adventure looks amazing and includes flight sections. Aussie actor Sam Worthington plays Jake Sully in the Avatar films, including the latest release, Avatar: The Way of Water. A former human, Jake joins the Na'vi species on Pandora after participating in an Avatar program. After transferring from his human body to his Avatar body, Jake becomes a Na'vi with blue skin, long hair, yellow eyes and intimidating fangs. Having a passion for adventure, Jake Sully can be described as courageous, determined and good-natured. Over a decade from the first film's events, Jake and Princess Neytiri have raised a family together with the biological children, Neteyam, Lo'ak, Tuktiri and adopted teenagers, Kiri and Miles Socorro. With skills in using a bow and arrow and hand-to-hand combat, Jake is a resourceful warrior who can adapt to various environments. James Cameron's sequel to his 2009 epic blockbuster rode an CinemaScore to top the box office over the 4-day Christmas weekend, raking in $95.5 million to bring its haul domestically to $293.2 million and internationally to $955.1 million. What costumes reveal about Pandora's Na'vi? From Jake's cummerbund to Kiri's necklace, costume designer Deborah L. Scott shares the stories behind Avatar: The Way of Water. Costume designer Deborah L. Scott loves to tell stories with clothes. It helps the narrative of the film, Scott says of her craft, which is evident in the meticulous details behind the Na'vi costumes that she created for James Cameron's Avatar: The Way of Water. An Oscar winner for the director's Titanic, Scott worked with her team to make every costume for every Na'vi, even if it would appear only digitally in the finished movie. That was Cameron's directive from the start, as this would provide a road map for WetaFX's digital artists as they planned how the costumes would look and move in the virtual world of Pandora. Physical costumes were also vital to the actors, who tried them on to get a sense of movement for their performances. Scott additionally created reference garments, on which the filmmakers could place tracking markers while doing performance capture. Costuming the Na'vi involved two overall approaches, one for the Omaticaya clan, who hailed from the forest, including Jake Sully, Neytiri and their kids, and one for the Metkayina, the Reef clan, which took inspiration from indigenous people who live on or near water, with clothing references from Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, Hawaii and the Maori of New Zealand. For the most part, they use their environment to create their clothing shells, in our case, Scott says of the Reef clan. Shells are highly decorative and fun to work with. Scott and her team also used natural fibers, emulated seagrass, seaweed and corals, and incorporated feathers and skins into the looks. Metkayina clan leader Tonawari wears what Scott calls a toa guard, the leather piece worn across his chest, which symbolizes the guarding of the heart to the Na'vi. It's symbolic, but it also offers protection and signifies your stature, Scott says. Tonawari's is much more elaborate, heavier, and has more gravitas than the rest of the clan. He also has the mantle, the big, giant piece of power with the tooth in the center. It's extremely presentational, it's very masculine. Jake and his sons wear a cummerbund of sorts as a symbol of manhood, until they arrive at the reef. That's a symbol of another tribe, Scott explains, adding that they remove these as a gesture of respect to the reef people, and as a sign that they are trying to fit into their new culture. Neytiri wears a necklace more reminiscent of 2009's Avatar when the Sullys arrive at the reef. Neytiri does not want to give up the forest. That's where she grew up, Scott says. It breaks her heart to leave. So when I made that piece, I put it in that part of the movie to symbolize her taking her family, her home life, with her. Scott also used costumes to convey the personalities of the characters, including each of Jake and Neytiri's children. Take, for instance, their adopted teenager Kiri, who's a free spirit, envisioned as a collector. She's young, she has a lot of spirituality inside her. She would wander through her environment and pick up things and ornament herself with them, says Scott. Most of her costumes aren't terribly organized. They're meant to look more like a charm bracelet, because it's irregular. She builds her costumes as she goes through her day. The necklace Kiri wears duplicates the one that Weaver's human character, Grace, wore in Avatar. She needed a link to her biological mother, reveals Scott.